Hello there, thank you for choosing Citizen TV on this third day of January 2026, and you're just in time for Citizen Weekend. Here are the top stories tonight. "14 die in separate road accidents at Katumani along the Nairobi-Mombasa Highway and Kikopey along the Nairobi-Nakuru Highway."
At this point, the cause of collapse has not yet been properly established.
We want to pick the sample from the failed structures, which will be subjected to further reviews. We'll also be reviewing the designs.
Search for 2 people trapped under rubble in Nairobi South Sea continues.
Tukitangaza kiongozi saa hii atahangaishwa sana na Kasongo. Kaatiguo. Hatuwezi sisi hapana wajinga.
Not just yet. Former Deputy President Gachagua rejects Kalonzo Musyoka's proposal for early naming of joint opposition candidate.
It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice.
Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro captured in U.S. military attacks on the country's capital and military bases. Good evening, my name is Sam Gituku and our sign language interpreter is Wilson Ochuka. Now, the death toll from a road accident at Katumani along the Nairobi-Mombasa Highway has risen to 8. This is after 2 more people succumbed while receiving treatment at the Machakos Level 5 hospital. The Friday night accident involved a passenger bus traveling from Mombasa, which collided head-on with a shuttle from Nairobi headed for the coastal city. Safin Achengoma has more.
This is the wreckage of the Naikana Sacco shuttle, which caught fire while being towed to Salama Police Station in Makueni County shortly after it had been involved in a head-on collision with a passenger bus belonging to Tahmid Bus Company, which was traveling from Mombasa. The crash happened at Katumani area along the Nairobi-Mombasa Highway at around 10:30 p.m. on Friday night. It led to the loss of 8 lives. Initially, 6 people lost their lives. Meshak Mutua is nursing critical injuries as he recounts how he narrowly escaped.
Mimi hiyo gari ikikuja kugongana, nilikuwa naona. Iligongana kichwa na kichwa. Nikaona gari imevunjika, mabati imevunjika. Kutoka hapo, watu walikuwa wamelalala hapo wamekufa. Wengine walikuwa unconscious. But mimi nilishuka kwa hiyo dirisha kutoka nje. Sikuwa na nguvu. Ilibidi nilala huko chini.
Nilijipata nikitolewa kwa kioo, mlango wa gari ilikataa kufunguka. So walivunja hizo vioo zote, tulikuwa tunachukuliwa kutoka kwa hiyo gari, tunapitishwa kwa kioo. Ambulance ilikuwa hapo, tunawekwa kwa ambulance, tunakimbizwa hapa Machakos.
Machakos Level 5 Hospital Medical Superintendent Dr. Daniel Katua has confirmed that the death toll has risen to 8 people.
They managed to evacuate 17 patients. Unfortunately, 6 arrived here dead, and we lost 2 at our casualty. So the remaining 9, 5 have been treated and discharged. So we have 4 with us. 1 is in the ward, a female with fractures, and the other 3 are here with us.
Mimi maumivu yangu yenye niko nayo ni kifua na mikono, hata Mungu kutembea ni shida.
Emergency teams were dispatched to the scene to carry out rescue and evacuation operation, which has since been completed, with other relevant agencies focusing on investigations to establish the cause of the accident. According to the National Transport and Safety Authority, preliminary reports indicate that the matatu driver attempted to overtake another vehicle, leading to a head-on collision. The incident comes amid renewed concerns over rising road accidents at the start of the new year.
I urge drivers to be very careful, to drive at the recommended speeds, not to get drunk and drive, and also to ensure that they observe road traffic signs so that we can avoid some of these accidents.
Kile kitu kingine nauliza ni ya kwamba serikali iweze kusisitiza na kuleta sheria ambazo zinaweza kuhakikisha kwamba hii barabara yetu ya Mombasa inatengenezwa vizuri, maana ni barabara kubwa sana na ina connect both Kenya na Eastern Africa.
The bodies of those who died were taken to the Machakos Level 5 Hospital mortuary. Safina Chieng'oma, Citizen TV.
Still on the roads, the death toll from a road accident at Kikopey in Gilgil, Nakuru County now stands at 6 after one more victim succumbed while receiving treatment in hospital. The accident involved 3 vehicles, 2 trailers and a 14-seater matatu. Residents are appealing to authorities to expand the road at Kikopey area, which is congested owing to trucks that are usually parked by the roadside. Marian Nyambura reports.
Shadrack Alumasi, the driver of the Bungoma-bound vehicle belonging to Great Rift Shuttle, is still searching for answers hours after he was involved in an accident at Kikopey in Gilgil. His vehicle was hit from the rear by a trailer, whose brakes had failed. 5 people died on the spot, while 1 more person succumbed to injuries in hospital.
Nilikuwa na abiria 16. Kwa upande ile kitu nilifanyika ndio accident happen, siwezi nikajua sababu gari yangu ilikuwa sawa. Nilikuwa naenda speed ya 50 km/h.
The accident, which occurred at around 9 a.m. involved 3 vehicles, all headed towards Nakuru. Survivors recounted the terrifying moments.
Nilikuwa nasafiri kutoka Nairobi kukwenda nyumbani Webuye, natoka Webuye East. Na nilikuwa na watoto wangu wawili. So mmoja alikuwa amekaa na driver na mimi naye na mwingine tuko karibu kwa hiyo nyuma ya driver, hiyo nini seat ya driver ya nyuma hiyo. Tulisikia tu nyuma gari imeguzwa.
Sasa wakati hiyo gari imetoka juu, ilikataa brake ilikatalia kwa mlima huko. Gari imetoka imekuja haikuwa naona haikuwa na. Sasa hiyo Nissan nayo ilikuwa inakimbilia upande wangu. Sasa iko hiyo trailer nayo imeachilia huko, brake hakuna. Na ikawa nayo kuna gari inatoka chini. Kabidi hiyo trailer isukume Nissan upande wa, ikaifinyia Nissan katikati.
Residents of Kikopey are now calling for the Nakuru-Nairobi highway to be expanded, citing frequent congestion caused by trailers parked along the roadside.
Ziondolewe kabisa, wapatafute parking huko ambapo wanatufungia sisi kwanza kama wana bodaboda, wanatupunguzia barabara ambapo hatupati barabara ya kupenya.
Wito wangu kwa madereva, bado tuko kwa festive season. Wale ambao walienda manyumbani kusherehekea na familia na jamaa na marafiki, saa hii wengi wanarudi tena. Pia shule zinafunguliwa wiki ijayo, na waomba wawe waangalifu sana. Tuanze safari mapema ndio tusikie na haraka.
7 people are admitted in various hospitals in Gilgil, one of them in critical condition. The National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, put the blame at the feet of the driver of the foreign registered truck for failing to maintain a safe following distance. Marian Nyambura, Citizen TV.
Now, away from the roads, the government has revealed the number of people trapped under rubble from the collapsed South Sea building from 4 to 2 people after CCTV analysis confirmed that only 2 security guards were inside when it came down. Public Service and Special Programs Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruku, who assessed the second day of search and rescue operation, says the cause of the collapse will be known on Sunday after a thorough probe by a multi-agency team. Meanwhile, reports indicate that one of the owners of the ill-fated building surrendered to the police and recorded a statement, as Gatete Njoroge now tells us.
On the second day of the search and rescue mission in South Sea, 5 excavators were busy at work, every second here dedicated to clearing the debris with one goal in mind: rescue or recover those trapped inside since Friday 4 a.m. On ground to oversee the progress was Public Service and Special Programs Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Rocco in the company of local leaders. Rocco announced the review in the number of suspected victims from 4 to 2.
Based on the CCTV footage, which the very competent team has analyzed properly, it is now suspected that 2 persons have been trapped inside the collapsed building.
Another concern raised by Kenyans was on the actual number of floors. According to the National Construction Authority, the collapsed building was 16 stories, while the Nairobi County government insisted it was a 15-story building. The Cabinet Secretary says investigations have revealed it was a 14-story building with ground floor and a basement parking.
At this point, the cause of collapse has not yet been properly established. Today, in the evening, rested tomorrow morning, we will be able to answer those questions using scientific investigations, which are going to be conducted by the relevant institutions.
With anxiety growing among the affected families, Rocco says government's first commitment is the search and rescue operation before targeting those who neglected their duty, leading to the collapse of the building.
Why is it that the stop order, which was issued in August 11, 2025, was not followed? All this, by the time we are done with this rescue mission, by the time we are done with the scientific evaluation of the building materials from this building, we will take people to court.
Anybody who violates the law, my friend, the construction law, the county regulations, anybody who violates, regardless of his tribe, his community, his religion, his status in society, he must be dealt with in accordance with the law.
Any contractor around here, just do the right job. You have the money, the land is yours. You don't have to hurry in trying to make your high-rise come up. Make sure that you get to the standards that were there so that we can save lives.
Kenya Defence Forces, who are part of the search and rescue mission, have deployed sniffer dogs to assist in tracking the 2 believed to have been on the 3rd floor when the building collapsed.
We are halfway in terms of the removal of debris, and we are making very good progress. We have got all the agencies responsible for emergency response.
Reports indicate that one of the owners of the building presented himself to police and recorded his statement. More than 36 hours after the collapse of this building, the search and rescue mission is still on, with the families of the 2 security guards believed to be trapped inside clinging on hope that they will be found alive. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV, South C, Nairobi.
And now, families of 2 men believed to be trapped inside the rubble of that building that collapsed in South Sea, Nairobi, are calling for an enhanced rescue operation. Family members say every minute lost is stealing their chance of finding their loved ones alive. They are also calling for thorough investigations into the cause of the collapse, adding that those responsible must be held to account. Emily Chebet reports.
It has been more than 24 hours since this building in South Sea came crashing down, trapping 2 security guards who are manning the newly constructed structure. While multi-agency rescue teams remain at the site, families of the 2 men say time is running out and hope is quickly fading. The 2 men, identified as Ali Adano Galgalo and Hassan Bule Huka, are believed to have been on the 3rd floor of the building where their resting room was located at the time of the collapse.
Kama familia, si tuko na huzuni sana. Tunashukuru serikali tangu jana walifanya kile wanaweza, wamefanya kazi, lakini tunataka waweke juhudi sana. Ile kazi inaendelea hapa, sio kazi kidogo, lakini tunaomba serikali, President William Samuel Ruto aweke bidii, alete reinforcement mingi, watu kama wako uhai waokolewe.
A number of families have been camping here since that incident occurred. We are hearing also a number of family members are coming from Moyale. So we want appeal and really assistance for the family as well, we want to appeal as well to the operation team to focus on rescuing the lives of our people, of our two hardworking young men.
According to their families, the 2 security guards are family men, each with 3 children. They want the security mission to be fast-tracked. The families who spoke through appointed representatives are demanding justice for their loved ones.
Mambo imetokea hapa leo. Mtu ameanza ground floor, ameenda first floor, second floor, mpaka 15th floor ngapi? Wale engineers ambao wanasimamia hiyo kazi wako wapi? Hawa ndio kwanza wangefaa kuwekwa jela. Wakiwa kwa jela saa hii ndio taanze kuongea mambo ya nyumba. Investigation itaanzwa of course, na tutademand hiyo investigation ianzwe, kwa sababu hii shida hapana iko South Sea peke yake, iko Kenya mzima kila mahali. Na shida mahali iko ni mambo ya corruption. Watu wanachukua pesa, wanapitisha hizo manini drawings yao na kila kitu kwa sababu ya kula pesa.
According to Hawa Hassan, the mother of one of the men believed to be buried beneath this debris, her son left their home in Mukuru kwa Njenga at around 6 p.m. on Thursday heading to work.
Anachunga ndani. Kazi inaingia saa 12. Jioni saa 12 ya jioni naingia. Natoka asubuhi saa 12.
Leaders led by Senator Chute are now calling on the president to form a task force to investigate the causes behind the recent spate of building collapses across the country. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV.
A multi-agency team drawn from different government agencies has begun collecting samples from the same rubble of the collapsed building at South Sea Estate in Nairobi, with preliminary investigations pointing to substandard materials used to put up the building. At the same time, buildings adjacent to the ill-fated site remain at high risk as the search and rescue mission nears the floors where 2 people are believed to have been buried under the rubble. Emmanuel To reports.
Saturday morning, and under the heavy cloud of uncertainty, officers from the National Construction Authority, the National Building Inspectorate, and the Engineers Board of Kenya are hard at work to get to the bottom of the collapse of the South Sea building more than 36 hours after the incident. The team spending the entire day Saturday collecting samples used in the construction process as they piece together the possible reason for the collapse. And it appears from the onset that the weight of the 2 extra floors added by the developer was just the tip of the iceberg.
Easy concrete.
Susan Ruto, the General Manager, Registration and Compliance at the National Construction Authority, disclosing the extent of their investigation.
So we want to pick the sample from the failed structures, which will be subjected to further reviews. We'll also be reviewing the designs. In this case, we will be looking at the architectural designs and also structural design so that we are able to tell if there was any inadequacy in the design.
The multi-agency investigating team will now be taking samples of stones, concrete, sand, and even steel that was used in the construction of the building that collapsed a few meters from here, and it will be brought into a mobile laboratory just a few meters from the collapsed building, and this will be the center of action to establish the truth on what exactly caused the collapse. Already the team of experts from the multi-agency team is analyzing the evidence collected through this construction equipment to ascertain the adequacy of the design and structure of the building before it crashed down. Authorities have categorized the fall as a pancake collapse when a building's lower supports fail, causing floors to fall vertically onto each other like pancakes. The collapse is often caused by soft stories or weak ground floors, poor design or construction due to inadequate reinforcement, and bad joints, and sudden loss of support associated with a blast or earthquake. This comes as the adjacent buildings to the collapsed one remain steady but in danger as the search and rescue mission nears the delicate part where the 2 people buried under the rubble are believed to be.
There is one building which has been affected. You will be able to see. And in that particular building, there are 2 columns which was affected by the ripples arising from the collapsed building.
The surrounding buildings include the Nairobi South Hospital, Kongoni Secondary School, residential and commercial buildings, which is
The United Opposition will unveil its presidential flag bearer ahead of the 2027 general election. Just 3 days after Kalonzo announced that the opposition would name his candidate in the first quarter of 2026, Gachagua today said the opposition is in no rush and will only unveil its flag bearer a few months to the election. Gachagua was speaking in Murang'a County during the burial of the mother of Embakasi North MP James Gakuya, where Lamu woman representative Monica Muthoni was ejected from the podium after expressing support for President William Ruto's administration.
Questions continue to mount over who among the opposition's top political figures will carry the formation's flag and face President William Ruto and other presidential contenders in 2027. While Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka recently stated that the opposition would soon settle on a presidential candidate before the end of the first quarter of the year, Gachagua today struck a different tone, warning against declaring a candidate too early.
Tukitangaza kiongozi saa hii atahangaishwa sana na Kasongo. Kaatiguo. Hatuwezi sisi hapana wajinga. Kwa hivyo mimi naomba mrelax. Nimeona watu wakinipigia simu, upinzani imesaparatika. Upinzani imesaparatika namna gani? Upinzani ni nyinyi. Nyinyi mnangoja tu kiongozi. Wacha tuude chama mwaka huu ya 2026.
The one-term and two-term debates dominated the burial as Lamu woman representative Monica Muthoni was heckled and forced off the stage for declaring her allegiance to the government.
Mimi Muthoni ni wa two-term. Na ni wa two-term. I'm the only. Hey.
Opposition leaders and ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna launched fresh attacks on President Ruto, insisting he should not be allowed a second term.
Manifesto yetu namba 1 ni kufukuza wewe kabla hujafikisha sisi Singapore. Tunataka tufikisha wewe Sugoi. Nikuwa kana tiguo. Aende asiende. Kuna siku baba alituambia tuunge mkono William Ruto 2027. Hakuna. Na kwa sababu watu wamekuwa wakisema ile vitu baba aliwaambia. Hii mwaka hata mimi nataka kusema ile vitu baba aliniambia. Baba aliniambia Kasongo 2027 home.
The leaders also came to the defense of former President Uhuru Kenyatta following recent remarks by Minority Leader Junet Mohamed.
William Ruto alituambia Uhuru Kenyatta ndio shida ya Kenya. Uhuru alikuondokea, sasa umeharibu Kenya. Why are you sending young boys to abuse Uhuru Kenyatta? So hao watu ya ODM shida yenu sio Uhuru Kenyatta, Sifuna. Shida yenu ni Kasongo.
Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
Still in politics, DAP-K party leader Eugene Wamalwa is tonight a man under siege after fellow leaders from the Western region accused him of undoing gains already made to consolidate the region ahead of the 2027 general election. Wamalwa, who came under fire at the burial of former Likuyani MP Enoch Muguchi for championing Luhya unity on one hand and pulling in a different direction with his party, has been called upon to dissolve DAP-K and join efforts by fellow leaders to secure President William Ruto a second term. And as Kamau Mwangi now reports details, former President Uhuru Kenyatta has once again come under fire as allies of the president accuse him of being behind the turbulence in ODM.
With exactly 19 months to go before Kenyans once again head to the ballot, political temperatures in the larger western region are on the rise as leaders clash over the best way to consolidate the region that has for years evaded unity. During the burial of former Likuyani Member of Parliament Enoch Kibunguchi on Saturday, DAP-K leader Eugene Wamalwa found himself on the receiving end of fellow leaders from the region who accused him of diluting gains made to bring about unity in the region that has remained elusive.
Tunakuja hapa kuambia tuje pamoja na nyinyi mmekuamilia hii vyama yenu ambazo kama tukuji pamoja hakuna mahali hizi vyama vitapeleka nyinyi.
Don't just go because you want to be a presidential candidate to usimame for the sake of it. What are the realistic chances of winning? Hiyo ndio swali nataka tujiulize. Na sisi kama jamii ya Waluya, we are not saying hatuwezi kutoa president. We are saying are we prepared kutoa president?
The fiery condemnation coming after Wamalwa seemed to suggest that he was ready to lead the region as its preferred presidential candidate. His being in the opposition, however, did not sit well with leaders present.
Cyrus alituunga mkono hapa Malava. Alitoa pesa kusupport DAP hapa Malava. Na tulikuwa tumekubaliana 2027 tunaenda kuungana tutoe mgombezi wa urais.
Kutafuta urais lazima tuwe na watu na pia tuwe na pesa. Mimi nataka kuambia viongozi wetu hapa ya kwamba sisi kama wanakakamega wote tuko nyuma ya Rais William Samoei Ruto.
The Luhya unity talk came even as President William Ruto's aide Farouk Kibet, who was in the neighboring Malava constituency, maintained his offensive on former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who he believes is rocking the Orange Party through proxies. He cautioned leaders in the broad-based arrangement against being lured to ditch the government, sentiments that were echoed by Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi.
Yule retired president ambaye amepanga hawa kina Khalwale, amepanga kina Shifuna, amepanga kina Osotsi, ati baada ya hii uchaguzi ya William Ruto akishinda Mluhya asiwe rais, tunaambia shetani ashindwe.
Mkishapata nafasi ya kuwa ndani ya serikali, musikubali mtu apoteshe. Musikubali mtu awaondoe ndani ya serikali awarudishe kwa upinzani. Ndugu zanguni, nitawaomba sana, nitawasihi.
Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
And we'll come back to local politics. But before then, to our earlier story, in an overnight military operation, U.S. Special Forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores at a heavily fortified residence in Caracas. The ban on harvesting and trading of raw macadamia nuts, saying this restriction has disrupted their income flow as peak harvest season approaches, leaving them exposed to losses and theft of their produce, while those who had not harvested are left with cropping farms. According to farmers from Kirinyaga, the ban put in place by the Agriculture and Food Authority restricting harvest and trade of macadamia for 2.5 months since the 1st of December last year needs to be reviewed, as Jimmy Mbogo now tells us.
The ongoing ban on the trade of raw macadamia nuts continues to bite deep in the pocket of farmers, with many now bearing the biggest burden of the policy. Across key producing regions, farmers say that tons of harvested macadamia nuts are lying unsold and fast losing value, even as others express concerns that the ban puts them at a risk of losing out to thieves and unscrupulous business people who are offering too little for their produce, taking advantage of farmers' desperation.
Bei imeteremka kwa sababu wale wanunuzi wanataka kufuata sheria. Wanafuata sheria na wanunui makadamia. Wale wafuati sheria ndio wanaendelea kununua, na milango ya nyuma hatujui inapelekwa wapi, lakini tunaona inaenda hivyo.
Serikali imetuharibu, badala ya kutengeneza venye walikuwa nasema ati makadamia itakuwa aje, na kuna mwisi anasida kwa makadamia na kuna mnunuzi naye ananunua hapa ile makadamia ya mwisi. Kwa hivyo mkulima hapo hayuko kwa sababu ameambiwa ungoje.
The farmers argue that the timing of the ban has worsened the situation, coming at the height of the harvest season when expenses such as labor and transport are highest. They now want the government to put measures in place to ensure that they are not disadvantaged by the underhand tactics owing to the lack of market.
Sasa mimi nauliza serikali, tafadhali, ikiwa ni kufunga makadamia kununua, iweke mikakati kufunga kabisa, kusiwe kuna watu wengine wananunua.
Ikifika wakati wanafungua hiyo makandania, utakuta wakifikiria iko makandania watanunua,
utakuta hawana makandania, maana mkulima alifinyiriwa na hiyo serikali pia imejifinyiria. Maana wakati iko pesa mingi, mkulima anafaidika na serikali pia inafaidika.
According to the authority, the policy was aimed at protecting local processors, curbing the harvesting of immature nuts, and boosting value addition within Kenya. Alpha further argues that previous seasons were characterized by widespread premature harvesting practices that hurt Kenya's competitiveness and long-term productivity by undermining quality standards in key international markets. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Back to politics, ODM Secretary General and Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna has accused Suna East MP Junet Mohamed of mismanaging the money set aside for paying agents in the 2022 presidential election, accusing him of causing former Prime Minister the late Raila Odinga's defeat in the 2022 presidential election due to lack of payment of election agents. However, in a quick rejoinder, Junet has challenged Sifuna and former President Uhuru Kenyatta to come clean on the money which he claims was given to the former president's brother, Moho Kenyatta. Emmanuel Toh reports.
The burial ceremony of the mother of Embakasi North MP James Gakuya in Murang'a County Saturday set the stage for the ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna to lift the lead on the alleged reason why former Prime Minister the late Raila Odinga lost the 2022 presidential election. Sifuna laid the blame squarely at the doorstep of Suna East MP Junet Mohamed, who he accused of failing to pay agents, manning election results for Odinga, who was the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential flag bearer.
Nataka niulize Junet. Wewe Junet, pesa ya Uhuru ilianza kuwa mbaya siku gani? Siku ile ulikuwa unachukua hiyo pesa na hata yote hukuleta kwa chama. Ukipata sponsor mpya, usianze kutukana ule alikutoa kwa bedsitter.
Sifuna defending Kenyatta, saying he had bankrolled Odinga's presidential election.
Wewe ulikuwa unakula pesa ya Uhuru, badala ulipe agents, ukaacha hawa kina Wamunyoro wakatupiga 10-0. Saa hii tunalia huko nje. Kama sio wewe Junet, tungekuwa kwa serikali. So, mimi huwezi nitisha bwana. Hawezi kunitisha.
Niseme. However, Junet Mohamed, who is out of the country, returned fire in equal measure, accusing the retired president Uhuru Kenyatta and his brother Moho Kenyatta of bungling the process. In a statement shared on his social media platforms, Junet said, quote, "The answer is simple, clear and verifiable. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta released the funds meant for election agents to his blood brother Moho Kenyatta. Moho Kenyatta then appointed one Mr. Peter Mboro to take charge of the recruitment and payment of agents."
Mwezi ujao, hii imeenda kabisa.
The minority leader in the National Assembly further stating that around the time Moho Kenyatta operated from an office in Westlands that was so restricted that even Raila Odinga, the party's presidential candidate, could not access it freely. The accusations do not stop there. Junet was in the Azimio campaign's inner sanctum, maintaining that it is from this office, out of bounds for nearly all of us, that they claim to handle the agents' payments and other logistics. These are facts, not conjecture. I challenge Uhuru Kenyatta and Moho Kenyatta to publicly deny these facts. It is here where he claims that the two never procured any agents for Raila Odinga, not in Mount Kenya and not in Luo Nyanza. He concludes by saying it was a long con game. Junet then challenged the former president, Moho Kenyatta, Peter Mburu and Senator Edwin Sifuna to come clean.
Unatupeleka Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta alishindwa kufanya baba president akiwa na kila kitu. Alikuwa na military, alikuwa na polisi, alikuwa na army, na prison, hata kanjo alikuwa naye. Alishindwa.
Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
This is the third day of the year. At the same time, Conflict and instability across the Eastern Africa region have forced many to seek refuge in Kenya. Hundreds of thousands of people in Kenya's Kakuma and Dadaab refugee settlements are enduring ever-deteriorating conditions, with international aid and global attention withering. Families are now surviving with the little they have, with no light at the end of the tunnel. Emmanuel Ndungu traveled to northern Kenya and filed this report on Dadaab, a forgotten crisis.
This is Dadaab, Kenya. Dry, desolate and isolated, it's far away from the country's heartland. Yet this is the site of one of the largest refugee complexes in the world. Over 420,000 registered refugees live here across 4 camps in some of the harshest and most hostile of environments. Most people here will never be allowed to leave, and Al-Shabaab, an Islamic terror organization raging in Somalia and eastern Kenya, are here to stay too. Nestled in secluded spots around the region, they're responsible for countless attacks in the area. Travel from the landing strip to the camp is a dangerous affair, with stopping not advised in case of an ambush. I'm Emmanuel Ndungu, and my story here is about the people. What is life really like living as a refugee in Kenya? A forgotten crisis within our borders. I arrived at Dagahali, one of 4 camps in Dadaab. 110,000 people stay here, predominantly Somalis fleeing civil war and severe drought. But Ethiopian, South Sudanese and Congolese people also reside here. Life is hard, with limited water, food and poor sanitation. And after years of a gradual decrease in global aid and even more dramatic slashes in 2025, there are few signs of better days ahead. There are many people here, though, making the most of their situation, and it didn't take long before I heard of a man named Farah, who has built a bright career and now gives back to his community.
Hello, Karibu.
Hi.
Welcome home.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'm Farah.
Farah, Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, welcome home, Emmanuel.
Thank you.
Life was not really simple. There was this kind of people fleeing from their home. Like now, we did not have anything remaining for us because the family have livestock. But after the droughts and that civil war, now we could not stay there because of life could not be easy for us.
Farah has lived here since 1992 with his children and extended family. So this is where you stay?
Yeah, this is where I stay. This is where I've been staying since 1992. I've been staying here with my father and my mother and my kids here. So we live in extended family here, and this is where I reside in the Dagahali camp.
The Department of Refugee Services assigns plots within the camp where a family can build what they can from there. Early arrivals like Farah and his family were able to acquire their space, but the exponential rise in the camp's population means there's now little room to be given out to newer arrivals. Farah went through both his primary and secondary school education in the Dagahali camp in schools funded by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. He later trained to be a primary school teacher, which helped him provide for his immediate and extended family. But then he got a scholarship with NGO Doctors Without Borders, also known as MSF, who run a local hospital in the camp. It was a golden opportunity as he now works as an auxiliary nurse in the malnutrition ward.
I had an opportunity to be given a scholarship, and I had that scholarship and I benefited, and really, that is really helping me in my life today.
I'd catch up with him later on in the day, but the camp chairman heard word of our visit to Dagahali and invited us to his place to give us an idea of the specific challenges the people face.
Yeah. That is a forgotten camp. So the world is not aware of the situation of the Dadaab camps. 90% come because of insecurity, followed by drought,
Those are major two reasons why people come to the refugees.
Leaving your home is a tough decision for any family to make, and the journey here is an arduous one. Many choose to come on foot.
During insecurity, when they have insecurity in Somalia, mostly they walk, because if they use other means of transport like vehicles, they will be arrested. So most of them hide. It happens some family members meet at the border. Maybe the father left, then the mother will come with the children, then they meet at the border. That's how they come sometimes.
Gedo, like many, has been in the camp for over 30 years and also fled Somalia due to civil war. Refugee camps globally are seeing huge surges in population. Aid to Dadaab has reduced significantly over the years. In 2024, refugees were only getting 40% of the recommended caloric intake. In 2025, the World Food Programme was forced to reduce its food basket to around 32% of a full ration, the lowest it's ever been in Kenya. In 2025, the U.S. Agency for International Aid, USAID, closed its doors after President Donald Trump gradually dismantled the agency, accusing it of wastage. Many Western countries have followed this course over recent years, with the UK, Germany and Canada among the countries that have made the most cuts, a move that will definitely be felt on the ground.
So this is our main source of water, and the water runs like 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon. The pressure is very low, you cannot see now. The pressure is very low. Initially the pressure used to be very high. So now the pressure is very low.
The vast majority of people are living in poverty, but some are certainly doing better than others. There are families with cars and own their own shops in the town. Some can afford private education in the camp, with a few even self-funding online university courses. The camp almost forms its own mini-economy, but there are many people who are completely reliant on foreign aid and free initiatives, scraping by with so little.
This also rice. It has been made to be have for 60 days, 2 months, and it's not enough for the family to continue for 12 members to have this ration for 2 months.
The camp is filled with many vulnerable families. Hemila lives here with her 10 children and survives largely on international aid as her husband is seriously ill and can't work.
We're facing difficult times. Water shortages are a major problem. The number of family members does not matter. Whether 15 or 20 people, at best you get 4 20-litre jerry cans. At worst 3 or 2 20-litre jerry cans. The water crisis is a major problem.
Hemila's situation is extremely saddening. Only 2 of her children go to school, and they've been the victims of muggings where their school books have been stolen. The kids are young, and in these vital years of their development, they're at home in poor conditions, not consuming even half the nutrients they need.
When we first came here in 2010, 2011 and until 2013, all was okay. Even between 2014 and 2015, all was okay. The period after that is when difficult times kicked in.
During my time here, I saw many women and children walking up and down, fetching water in unbearable heat. Where they are forced to walk is also very unsafe.
Dagahali camp is huge, but one thing that's consistent across a lot of it as we're driving along are these rubbish dumps where people are just putting all their rubbish that they found in their houses, and we can even see some animal intestines down here and some leftovers from cattle and things like that, and the smell is so strong you couldn't even imagine. So this is bringing many diseases to the community, and many of the families we're speaking to as well are talking about the health problems that they're concerned about with their children.
MSF has a level 3B hospital in the camp where people receive free treatment, something residents in Dagahali say has been a huge benefit. Malnutrition is an ever-growing concern here, but so are diseases such as cholera as a result of poor sanitation.
So in disease outbreaks, we have had quite a number of disease outbreaks here in this camp, from measles, cholera, polio, schistosomiasis. Currently we're handling dengue, and we have seen positive impact in terms of saving life. And all of these, they're related to the water sanitation situation in the camp.
Living as a refugee for years is enough to bring anyone down. The constant cycle of extreme poverty and no way out is challenging even to the strongest of minds. But so many people I spoke to, both young and old, were welcoming and had a strong community spirit. Many, I felt, had almost an acceptance of their situation, with hope that life would one day, somehow, get better. The camp's leaders often organize events to bring everyone together and get their minds off some of life's challenges.
Many refugees struggle with the daily cycle of life in these camps, but initiatives like these can help give the youth a hope and something to work towards.
Football matches are a weekly activity in the Dagahali camp, which attracts young stars to the pitch and football enthusiasts to the sidelines.
The youth, they normally come here, they play and show their showcase of tournament football. Many youth here are jobless. So instead of sitting at the block level, we bring them together to play. They make their talents so that we build peace among themselves.
Despite the enactment of new legislation in Kenya, which promised to better integrate refugees into the wider society, many never get permission to leave the camp. Residents can get travel documents to leave for short periods to Mombasa, Nairobi, or other places around Kenya, but some do exploit this and relocate illegally. These tournaments, though, provide a platform that could see young players take their talents outside for good.
They are in enclosed camps, so some of these activities, help the youth to do interactions and to do their physical activities in the evenings.
There are many talented individuals in other fields too, who can positively contribute to the wider community. Dagahali Camp's youth chair calls on the government for more opportunities in other sectors, including entrepreneurship. Farah, who we met earlier, has directly benefited from third-party initiatives. He and other trained refugee doctors offer a unique perspective when dealing with their patients. For Farah, in the malnutrition ward, he knows precisely what the families are enduring, as he is one of them.
The scholarship project has a positive impact across the society, across the refugee population, across the community, because this knowledge is gotten by one of them. Our teams from the refugee community will be able to do follow-ups, you see, and bring them back to care because they know one another. So they act as our ambassadors on the ground within the community we are living in. We have seen most of them graduating and going back to Somalia, securing jobs, and they're living a good life out of this.
So long as I wanted to help my entire community and benefit and relate to these issues here in the camp, I have decided now to go and do that course myself so that I can benefit my entire community back and they get the information required.
I see many desperate people who want a way out, but opportunities are few and far between. International attention to camps like these has worn thin, leaving many to accept that their life course will likely play out within the refugee camp. Increasing global hostilities and environmental challenges are only exacerbating this issue. Will there one day be a lasting solution?
Indeed, great reporting there by Emmanuel Dungu on Dadaab, a forgotten crisis. We're taking a short break here on Citizen Weekend. When we come back, we have more stories, including My Story, the continuing series.
The discovery of decomposing bodies at a quarry south of the city and the news story that followed. Details on My Year, Quarry of Hidden Bones after this break.
It was in Kware. We immediately organized ourselves and we rushed to the scene. When we arrived at the scene, I can remember there was a crowd all over the place. There was a contingent of police officers, and we really had a difficult time to access the exact crime scene. It was a total mess. When we finally got to the exact crime scene where detectives had cordoned off, I can remember the smell welcoming us to that place. I really don't know how to describe it. There were sacks all over the place, the sacks that had been marked as exhibits. To me, these were suspected human bodies that were in those sacks. The police had labeled them like Exhibit 1, Exhibit 2, Exhibit 3. At that time, the divers on the other side, they were still struggling to retrieve and recover more suspected human bodies from the deep end of the quarry. So the divers really had a hard time recovering the bodies from the quarry and then transporting the bodies to where the police were now marking the bodies as exhibits.
This is fresh. Not long ago.
We were right at the center of that crime scene, just trying to confirm the exact number of the bodies that were being recovered and retrieved to be sure we did not misreport or misinform the public.
Kizaazaa baina ya wenyeji hapa na maafisa wa polisi, wenyeji wakitaka baadhi ya mili ambayo imetolewa.
There was tension all over. There was a contingent of more officers from the General Service Unit who arrived at the scene to try and control the crowd. The youth were really charging at the police and even at journalists. There was little trust between the citizens and the government. The crowd was still charging towards the exact crime scene. They wanted to take away the bodies and disappear with them to a unknown place. They really didn't believe what the police were telling them. There was a little bit of doubt on what the media was reporting because the information that was going all over the place was contradicting what the locals wanted to hear. This was a crime scene that I had never encountered in my entire 10-year career as a crime journalist. And the situation that we were in, it was a little bit even compromising to our security. The crowd overpowered the security agencies and they accessed the crime scene and they took away some body bags. Their target was Kware Police Station. They wanted to attack the police station, and at this time I was still receiving phone calls from the studio. They wanted me to go live.
Nyuma yangu ni maafisa kukabiliana na vurugu ambao wamefika hapa kujaribu kukabiliana na hali hii.
I did a small live link and we embarked back to the crime scene to continue gathering more information of what was happening.
So far tujatoa full body, ni body parts.
On the other side, my colleague Ode was at the city mortuary.
Tuko hapa katika makafani ya city na tumeweza kuleta miili miwili.
The second day we were still at the crime scene, and this is the time now when people were asking, why would someone do this? Who are these victims? Where is the suspect? What are the police saying? Many people had different versions of what had happened, and a good number of them believed the government had a hand in this.
The manner in which these people met their deaths must have been extremely excruciating.
Madam, kama si femicide issues, hii inamaanisha hizi ni forced disappearance zina happen na zinatoka juu.
You remember, this happened in the aftermath of the Gen Z protest when the Gen Z had attempted to take over parliament.
Hizi vitu kwa nini hatukuwa tumeziona kabla maandamano ya vijana?
People suspected that those who had been killed in that stampede that was at the parliament were the people whose bodies had been dumped in that quarry. The elephant in the room was the number. Everyone was reporting about different statistics. Police were having their own version. Social media users were posting their unconfirmed reports. On the third day, when we got to the crime scene, it was a trying moment for us. The moment we removed our equipment and they spotted us, the crowd started shouting, "Hao ndio wale citizen walikuwa wanatudanganya jana." There was a police officer at least who I could easily identify, and he noticed me. So this is the officer who shielded us from the crowd, and he took us to that Redeemed Gospel Church, and we made contact with the office, and we were told to take care of ourselves and ensure our safety was guaranteed first before we could access that crime scene again.
Josephine alikuja kwangu, kaniambia dadangu, mbona mmeniacha kwa baridi hivyo? Nikamuuliza kwa nini na uko wapi, tunakutafuta.
The Dream family appeared. There was a lady who appeared and approached us. She said she was asleep. Their kin, who had been missing for quite some time, appeared to her in a dream. She saw the girl was at that dump site and she was in a sorry state.
Akasema dadangu, mbona mmeniacha kwa baridi? Mimi mnajua nakaa kwa maji na nimedungwa visu kwa mapaja na kwa shingo. Hiyo mto mahali niko, hiyo mto iko na takataka, hiyo mahali niko, munikujie pale.
It was this family actually that helped locals make that discovery.
Kulikuwa na ndoto ambayo iliwaelekeza pale.
We shifted our focus from that active crime scene and we took the direction of now how this was discovered. The entire exercise took at least a week. Other families started showing up, laying claim to some of the bodies which had been recovered.
Vile tulipeana maelezo vile alitoka kama amevaa, tukaletewa miili miwili kuconfirm. Kuangalia moja ikawa ni yeye, lakini tukawa tuna doubt, hatuko sure.
All the bodies were now at the city mortuary, and now the identification process began. Samples being collected from the victims and those families which had come forward to claim some of the bodies. After the results were out, it was now time for the autopsy.
Most of these bodies have levels of decomposition from mild to severe. So bodies which are severely decomposed, it becomes very, very difficult to assign a cause of death because there's what is called postmortem artifacts.
The results of some of the body parts which had been recovered were inconclusive because the body parts were just bones with little or no flesh.
They are part of the bodies. Find that they have been sawed off from the waist, so you find that they are lower limbs and upper limbs. And this sawing off, I think probably they are happening after death, whereby someone has been killed and then now is cut on the trunk.
As the investigation was still ongoing, police had mounted a search within Dandora. And when I arrived there, I found police had arrested someone who they had believed he was the mastermind behind these heinous acts. Police interrogated the suspect. The name of the suspect was Collins Jumaisi Halusha. He took detectives to a rented house just a few meters away from the quarry that is in Mkuru kwa Njenga. There were several exhibits that were recovered in that house. The following day in the morning, the director DCI did a press conference and announced to the public that they had made a huge breakthrough.
From our interrogation,
all his victims have been murdered in the same style.
The director mentioned the suspect had confessed to have killed at least 42 women. The suspect was then arraigned at Makadara Law Courts.
Identified female victims are alleged to have been murdered by one Corinne Jumaisi.
The court was told how the phone trail and the forensic documentation led to the arrest of the suspect.
And therefore releasing him before the conclusion of this complex investigation will not only jeopardize crucial evidence, but also intimidate potential witnesses.
The court ordered for the suspect to be detained at Gigiri police station. A few days later, something strange happened. A police officer called me and told me that suspect had escaped from police custody. How he escaped from custody remained a puzzle. How was it possible for such high-profile murder suspect to escape from lawful custody?
Haya mambo yote yako katika harakati ya uchunguzi.
To date, the suspect has never been found.
Huyu jamaa hakuna vile angepotea kwa seli ya polisi.
We continued demanding for answers.
The Kenyans have not yet been told what truly transpired at the Kware dump site.
Our coverage went further to different counties where the victims were taken for burial. The families were left in agony.
Kupoteza mtoto kwa hali kama hiyo si jambo nzuri. Jukumu ya kulinda watoto ambao watu wawili hapa ni ngumu.
Sometimes nimelala kama nimeamuka nimeona tu mtoto wangu.
The aftermath of that coverage left me traumatized. It took me close to 3 months without eating meat. I had to undergo counseling sessions for a whole 2 months, and the fact that the suspect escaped from custody and the pain that the families of those victims do undergo, they keep on calling me and asking me, will we ever get justice? But unfortunately, I don't have the answers. The answer is with the state.
People can get lost in this country, you know. I am not sure whether he's still alive.
That was a story that will remain part and parcel of my career as a journalist. My name is Franklin Wala.
In sports, Kenyan tennis ace Angela Okutoi qualified for the ITF Women's World Tennis Tour W35 singles final after a spirited 2-1 comeback victory over Poland's Zuzana Pawlikowska at Parkland Sports Club on Saturday afternoon. After enduring a difficult start in which she dropped the opening set 6-2, Okutoi bounced back impressively in the second set, completely flipping the script with a dominant 6-0 performance that shifted the momentum firmly in her favor before winning the final set 7-5 to seal her place in the final. Currently ranked 607th by the ITF, Okutoi continues to build momentum as she pursues a historic milestone, qualification for her first Olympic Games with Los Angeles 2028 firmly in her sights.
Can't believe, but I'm just happy that I was able to fight and to not give up after the first set, because I feel like the first set was really bad on my side. I feel like I wasn't playing my best tennis. But once I went to the bathroom, I composed myself and I told myself that I'm better than this and I need to wake up. So I'm glad that it